Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL officially unofficial cast of the LJL. I am your host, as always, Lexi, or Alex, otherwise known as Master Swan on the internet, and I am, of course, joined by my I was going so well until that point. I was so happy with it. God.
It's been a long day.
Little bit. We are here in our penultimate game. I am, of course, joined by my color commentator and my play-by-play caster, Initialize and Nymera. Please, as I say always, introduce yourselves.
Of course, I'm Initialized. I'm here. I'm enjoying myself. A good sequence of games today. The last one was actually from the Hawks. Well, sorry, not the Hawks. The Sengoku Gaming, rather.
Hawks?
But not quite.
Hawk?
But on the other side of it, it did take them a long time to clean that out. It was a long game in the end, but actually I felt they played the early and mid game pretty well.
Yeah, so I think that Sengoku had a way better comp than they had in their first game. It gave them a lot better scaling options, a lot of control around the map. I don't think they fully utilized their composition. I think there's a bit of growing pains there for this new roster, but it was putting Rascal Jester to the sword. And now, once more today, Rascal Jester have to come in as a team which has lost their first game and look to pick up a win in their second.
Will it be a repeat? Will we see all of the teams lose their first game and then win their second game? Because we saw the Fukuoka Hawks do that first. And then obviously we just saw SG, Sengoku. I was like, the name had disappeared. I was like, I know it's SG.
Yeah.
Sengoku.
Also, it doesn't help that there's two tricodes in SHG and SG.
It gets difficult sometimes. And can we get Rascal Jester to beat Crest Gaming Act? Now, let's give a quick talk down. Crest Gaming versus Rascal Jester. I think I'm safe in saying that, in my opinion, I'm kind of expecting Crest to win this one. They beat one of my favorites going in, so I'm obviously a little bit biased. I want to see the team that beat my team continue winning, because then it puts my team in a better spot, because we beat Sengoku. So I need now Rascal Jesters to not beat Sengoku. It means they're kind of at the same tier, and I'm like, no, not about that life. Or maybe they're better. I don't know. Yeah. How does that work?
I think Crest had a really good showing in the. I think that Gango, Aria had really fun carry performances there. And yeah, once again, we have a team coming in with a loss, playing against a team which we think is actually doing pretty well right now. So yeah, I think that the ball is definitely in Crest's court, but I think today, more so than yesterday, we've seen some teams slip up and draft.
Yes.
Rather than a team outdraft them, it's them actually dropping the ball and not drafting engage or drafting two weak lanes somewhere. So I want Rascal Jester to have a think about their draft, have a think about who they want to carry through, and then see how they can execute on that.
Yeah, I'm kind of really agreeing with Nymera's points there. I think Rascal Jester had an issue there where they had some pretty ugly matchups where the Ornn managed to get ahead of the Aatrox, which wasn't great, and the mid lane matchup of the Zoe into the melee matchup of the Mordekaiser didn't go all that well. But on the other side, I think Crest Gaming Act have a lot to feel confident about coming into this game. They're 1-0 already. They showed some really great things out of Aria, out of Gango. And actually, I want to highlight Yoshi, who is kind of new to the team, new from having been in a substitute role last year. And his first game on the LJL stage was looking pretty good, actually. He got a little bit behind in terms of farm early, but he put a lot of pressure down on the opposing bot lane. He pulled off a lot of early ganks, and I think if you've got this early aggressive jungler looking to work with the likes of Gango and Aria, who were really aggressive themselves, maybe Rascal Jester have a lot to be afraid of again.
Absolutely, and this is our penultimate game of this week, as well as the whole first week of the LJL, so it's definitely a lot to ride on. Obviously, the momentum of these games will be carried into the future weeks, and obviously this will be our own and all the viewers out there, their perspective on the teams after this first week. A lot of building blocks here, so definitely want to make a showing. Let's do a quick little roundup of the teams. We'll first cover Crest, as it's been a few games since we've covered actually seen them on the Rift, even though it wasn't too actual long ago for us. So we've got Nap in the top lane, Yoshi in the jungle, Arya in the mid lane, Gango in the bot lane, and Oh, I'm gonna mess it up again. I know I am.
Here we go.
Grendel in support.
That's it.
Hey, I got it. I don't know if I actually hesitated
We
so
do the
much.
carrot and stick approach here. For every time we rail on one for getting something wrong, we have to praise him for his successes. So fantastic pronunciation there. Good rundown.
I did good. All right, so let's see if I can. I'm pretty confident I can do most of Rascal Jester probably okay. It's only the jungler I'm a bit concerned about, but let's try this. So we got Cog in the top lane. We got Hacha Matcha in the jungle. We got Ninja in the mid lane. We got Art as their bot lane, because it is bot lane, not Marksman anymore. Bot lane.
Indeed.
And we got Vivid in support. Yeah, Cassiopeia bot lane is like still messing with my head because I'm such a tried and true season 2, season 3 like marksman in the bot lane, and now it's like no, anything can go, and I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah, we saw some Syndra today too.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we? God,
way back when,
yep.
Indeed.
What
All
a
right.
wild ride. But with that in mind, I think it's less prediction time, more playing time, and we're gonna actually join the players in the pick and ban phase. But with that in mind, I will count us in so we can get our video synced up, because technical difficulties have been the way of this stream today.
Oh, it's awful.
So let me just count us in for 3, 2, 1. And good luck to the teams, good luck to the casters, and this is the final game. Have fun.
Will do. All right. Thank you very much, Mass1. We're straight into picks and bans. And first ban out is pick we mentioned earlier is very much a priority right now.
Yeah, really strong in the mid lane, also pretty strong in the bot lane as well. Just makes drafting a bit of a nightmare for pretty much every team across the world as well. No one really wants to let that through unless they have another power pick to compensate.
Indeed, and beyond just that as well, we're looking at an Akali ban for Rascal Jester. No more of that. And the Rumble ban, very sensible, having seen that in action in the last game, looked pretty terrifying.
And actually showing that it's a three-way flex as well, right? And most of the time when flex picks are powerful in pro play, they are banned quite a bit just because you don't know how to... You can counter them in one lane, but you can just avoid that by moving it to another.
Now, I'm aware in the last pick and ban phase, I did potentially suggest that you could see a Rumble in the jungle. Is that still something you think that's potentially viable? Could it be a four-way flex?
I'm not so certain on that. Also, it is banned, so it's not so relevant to talk about it right now.
I know. We'll get back to it. Okay, so Senna and Tom Kench you got.
Senna and Tom Kench, yeah. I'm a little bit surprised by the Tom Kench ban because Senna had already been banned from Rascal Jester, and I do think that Tom Kench right now, best lane pairing is with the Senna herself.
Yes, we have seen it today with the Misfortune, which I can also understand being a little bit more mobile. But
is open, so we might see that.
Lucian ban as well will be joining his wife in the bands. And that'll be the end of that. We'll see what Nap is going to pick for CGA here. First pick.
Yeah, so Jarvan's available, and also Athelos is available. And also MF and Elise has actually skipped through the bans. That is pretty horrifying for Rascal Jester there. As such an early game powerhouse jungler, banned pretty much everywhere across the world. And Soraka Set locked in response.
That suggests to me it will be a Soraka top lane, and that means Set's probably going to be going either in the jungle for Hacha or in the mid lane. And yes, they've traded Elise, but they've taken a couple other priority picks themselves.
Oh man, and Set is already pretty hard to kill. When you have the Soraka heals coming in on top of that, that Set just does not go down. We've seen G2 use this combo. It's really hard to kill the guy, and it just means that he has so much more HP to play with before he has to pop that haymaker and wreck your team.
Aatrox, however, locked in response. Pretty strong pick, I'd imagine, into a Soraka able. But Aphelios also picked there as well, has been a real nightmare. In fact, I think he has 100% win rate today on this day of games, from what I remember.
Yeah, so Aatrox and Elise are pretty good at diving top lane, but I would have really liked to see a Gangplank. I do like to see Gangplank into the likes of Sets. I also think that it's a pretty safe laning matchup into pretty much the whole host of top laners right now. Jarvan being one of these 100% pick and ban champions so far, I believe. I can't remember if there are any games where it has slipped through. I can't quite remember right now. But it has been locked in. Fantastic engaged champion, which does pile on top of Set's damage as well.
Zoe banned away now from Arya. We'll see what CJ responds. What the Jarvan pickup does mean, though, is it's likely a Set in the mid lane, and that means the solo lanes have potentially been decided.
This could also still don't
I mean, there is,
that.
of course.
Particularly,
we haven't seen it that much yet, but there is always that option.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous when the likes of Leona and Nautilus are still available. I don't think you really want to pick Soraka into the real kill lane with the melee supports. Particularly with the Aphelios there as well. There's a lot of damage in that bot lane. And yes, we do see two very nasty champions banned away from Aria in Zoe and the LeBlanc. I think Aria, formerly Luna, was very good on the LeBlanc and showed us just the last game that in the first game that we casted the day, that he could really carry on the Zoe around objective fights.
That was a very quick lock-in of the Ashe. They knew what they wanted. CGA banned away the Misfortune of the Varus, but doesn't matter. Art knew what he wanted. Ashe locked in, some serious engage to join up with the Jarvan.
Yeah, the second Ashe we've seen in the LJL so far, we saw it earlier today, played by Axes. Unfortunately, that didn't go so well for them. It was played against a Nocturne and an Echo, which dived just effortlessly onto that Ashe pick. But maybe this time with the Elise instead of that Echo, maybe it's a little bit easier for this Ashe to thrive in this game.
We'll see, because it's Qiyana locked in as well, and if there's a pair of dive buddies you don't want to find diving your tower, Qiyana and Elise probably quite high up that list, and with Grendel deciding he's going for a Thresh, it's beginning to look a lot like Pick Christmas. And see what Vivid will pick here. Is it going to be a support? Or is it going to be something potentially for the top lane?
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
I'll take that. Yeah, that's probably a slightly better way. We're way past Christmas. Well, I'm like 11 months.
Yeah, the decorations are all down, and it does look like it's going to be the Nautilus locked in, which does mean that it's likely to be a Soraka top lane for Rascal.
It means we've got a lot of pick engage for CJ between Elise, a Qiyana, a Thresh.
There's also a good amount of pick from Rascal Jester.
I was about to say, that's a Jarvan, that's an enchanted crystalline arrow, that a depth charge and a dredge line and a auto attack. And actually, I'm going to keep stop talking because Nautilus
has far too
a lot
CC.
of stuff he can do. And in fact, has his joyous wrestling suplex to throw people into their own team and do a lot of damage to.
And so my worry now is that actually CGA have picked a very heavy AD composition.
Wait, that's Soraka mid.
Oh, really? Oh, we did not check that. I guess we just assumed too much. We'll check it again as we load in, but it doesn't change my point about CGA's team. I think that they picked a very heavy AD composition. Junglers don't tend to contribute as much damage as they used to last season, so the Elise is going to be less and less impactful as the game goes on, which means that actually this set can become incredibly tanky by building mainly armor. And you are right, it's actually a Soraka mid versus the Qiyana.
I suppose we were worried a little bit about the Soraka into Aatrox. We thought Aatrox could be able to get on Soraka here. I am not sure whether Qiyana is necessarily going to be any better. She does have room to throw out some of those edges of Ixtal, throw out some stuns. Soraka could be in trouble. Of course, her Q spam allows her to keep herself topped up, but that mid-jungle duo of Elise Qiyana is a lot of damage. Jarvan can come in for support, I'm sure, but Soraka doesn't bring a lot of damage. She just brings hyper-scaling healing.
She does pretty good damage over time. Her cooldowns are pretty low. If she keeps hitting her E's and her W's, then, she does get some amount of damage down there, especially against Qiyana, who doesn't have any inbuilt sustain, does bring a corrupting potion, but that's not really enough to keep a top tier threat the entirety of the laning phase.
Okay, so maybe my initial thoughts were a little way off there, and this Soraka could actually be a safer pick into the mid lane than I was anticipating.
I think it's safer than the lane because when you're dealing with the mixed damage of Elise, Aatrox, and a lot of the CC coming in from both the knockups from Aatrox, the chains, into the cocoon from Elise, then actually in the long lane, if the wave ever gets pushed up into the enemy tower, Soraka is really, really danger. I think in the short lane, the Soraka will be a bit happier. Has taken the cleanse as well, which you're not really afforded in the top lane. You do need a teleport to play top lane, really.
Yeah, and it's not just that, right? It's the fact that Set will be significantly harder to dive in the top lane than a Soraka, right? So the Elise notorious level 3, 4, 5 tower dive is going to be a bit harder to pull off when the Set can sort of outplay you with his haymaker and being a bit tankier enough.
Yeah, and one thing which I'm looking forward to seeing is how Rascal Jester play around their various ranges, right? Because of the crystalline arrow, if that hits on someone, this Jarvan can follow up from a full screen where you can fly, drag, flash, ult, really, really long range follow up. I feel like Rascal Jester have a lot of tools available to them to shut down the quite short range carry of Qiyana, and also maybe this Elise if it gets caught out of position.
Indeed. In fact, I want to talk about this bot lane a little more because that is 2 very big pick champions into 2 champions in the Aphelios and the Ashe who have abilities to throw out their ults as well and, of course, a lot more engaged. So that bot lane could be quite spicy when some of those ultimates come through.
I kind of feel like Aphelios does a lot of what Ashe does, but kind of better right now, particularly with the Graviton, with the ult being able to be a multi-man route. It's not the same as a stun. You know, you can't throw out your abilities behind you and auto-attack while you're stunned, obviously. You can while you're rooted. But Aphelios does have so many abilities available to him that even we lose track of what he does.
Indeed, and of course, that drawback to Aphelios, which perhaps not as much of a drawback as it should be right now, is he doesn't get to choose necessarily what weapons he has. And so Graviton isn't always a guarantee. But when he does have it, when he can keep it, it can be really dangerous. Looking for level here. Let's see how it goes. Kango flashes, but he gets down for first blood. That's great work there from Rascal Jester. Much better start than last game.
Oh, and the level 1 CC of Nautilus just makes Aphelios howl in pain there. The knockup doesn't land from Hatchet. The root just wearing off the Nautilus passive just before he comes in for that. Flashes away, but the flash follow from Hatchemecha does secure that first blood for Rascal. Fantastic early jungle pass.
And it means that Vivid has traded his summoners for the Aphelios. And I think I would take that trade any day of the week. It does mean that there is a lot of room for Gango to get punished. And that's a good face breaker trade there. Does a lot of work. Yoshi took the level 3 trade, at least not so great at the level 2 ganks. I mean, she can run for the E second, but it's a bit of a risk. Means she's going to go in for a Raptor invade here and see how well she does taking these out, kind of punishing the Jarvan slightly for his aggressive level.
But the damage is already done. You know, this Aphelios has lost a wave, is now going to be behind a significant amount of CS. Didn't bring a teleport like some AD carries do, and we do see that a fair bit, particularly when early heralds are such a big playmaking tool. You tend to do this 8-minute herald meta in some regions of the world. Not really come here to the region of LJL. We've seen a bit more fighting, and then as a cleanup, you start deciding whether you want to take herald.
Yes, that's very true. But Hatchemecha reading the play from Yoshi on the Elise goes and trades Raptor Camp. So even that's not going to be a trade. And Scuttle's traded as well. It's just a really good start for Rascal Jester, frankly.
Oh, this is some nasty zoning from the duo lane of Rascal Jester. Just zoning off of the CS, allowing the wave to, just hang back a little bit on the side of Rascal Jester. Counter jungle attempted by Hatchemecha, but that mini Raptor will be killed by Elise. It's not much gold, but it will reset the camp timer. Nice and early for her.
Indeed, but here we are. We're looking at a little bit of a dash forward and a stun and a water blade there onto Ninja. Nothing much gained. No items really for Ari on the Kiani to cause grievous damage yet. I say grievous. I want to be careful because grievous wounds are a thing in this game.
They are, and they are very important against Soraka too. And what we see here is that Soraka can just continually push with this Q spam as well. But it's a good trade by Ari on Ninja.
Low health damage coming through there on the blade. Does a fair amount of work, but Hatchemecha is back down in this bot lane, and Gango is feeling a little afraid, but Grendel has got a lantern, has got a flash, can potentially extricate his AD carry from a difficult situation. But here we go. Gank number 2 is available. Severum has up Q pop, but there's a root there that keeps it alive, but it doesn't stop the flag drag, and Grendel is in a lot of trouble.
Good teleport.
Art flash forward and takes that, but it's a teleport response now from Rascal Jester as well. Naps here has got damage. Art's getting to try and get away, but he's got damage and he's free. Elise is here too, but she takes so much damage from Cog, who's got a face breaker to break the backs of Kirk. But incoming, however many people, everybody's here, but it's another death. Elise has gone down and silence from the Soraka, who's walked down from mid lane, and another haymaker at the end. Just a little bit of damage.
Just catastrophe for CGA there. That's 3 for 1 for the side of Rascal Jester there. They are so happy with that kind of trade. Even though there's no teleport on the side of Ninja and Aria got the first roam, the ambulance comes into full effect, running into that lane at full speed. And it's now we've sat here with the Jarvan at 2-0-2, Set getting a kill and an assist. The bot lane had a 4-kill as well. This is very, very good for Rascal Jester.
That is so much better from Hatchemecha, particularly who felt like he had very little impact this game. This time on the Jarvan 2-0-2. Let's look at this replay one more time.
Okay, so what we see here is actually because they know that the Lantern could come in, there's actually a straight engage onto Grendel too far up to actually be standing back for the lantern, and gets killed by a fantastic flash follow from Art there as well. The teleport comes in from Nap. He's pulled back by the face breaker by Coghog here, just making sure that he's just perma-CC'd after the flag and drag there. Flashes up, but the Haymaker follows. Really lots of damage coming in at this early stage in the game. At least the Nautilus does fall, but at this point, like, there's no chance that you're going to kill someone off at the end of it, because now the Soraka's here, and they do just have to walk away with tails in between their legs.
At the very least, Arya has got a kill, has some agency, maybe making something done. Ninja running away from that Kiana, who has not got a serrated dirk, has some of that lethality. And yeah, Soraka's picked up the beginnings of Athene's Unholy Grail, only got that sort of building block item there in the chalice, but that's magic resist. That's not AD, AD resist was what I was going to say, and that's wrong. Armor, that's what we're going to look for. And so it has to be a bit careful. But we're seeing a Mountain Drake take it here from Rascal Jester, using the pressure they have in the bot lane.
And what's actually interesting here is that it's a Mountain Dragon take a minute before the Herald spawns. So they can take this, they can reset, and then also potentially contest for that objective as well. It's not a trade like we've seen throughout some parts of the day. And they're really trying to get onto this Soraka in the mid lane, trying to use that Kiana ultimate as the CC, but Ninja playing very well, very respectfully towards this Kiana, and not falling behind in CS either.
It's Ninja who's running cleanse as well. That cocoon isn't going to be the be-all and end-all here in the mid lane. It does land. And actually, looking down the spot lane, that is a 20-odd CS lead as this wave is going to be cleared up. That's a massive lead there. Though Set has paid for his early teleport, and he's down 20 CS, 30 CS even as well.
Well, this is quite interesting, right? Because actually, like, the Aatrox also teleported and died in that as well. It's just that I guess he had the preferential wave position. I wasn't completely paying attention to that. But yeah, it looks like this Aatrox with the 30-35 CS lead, managing to push in on the top lane, maybe looking for a dive here as well with the Elise of a suitable level and the ultimate from the Kiana ready. They're certainly posturing for it, but the recalls are now channeling, so it looks like they're just backing off for that.
Yeah, and as you spoke, the Rift Herald is now live. There's a warning ping coming out from CGA, aware that Hachimecha could be in the vicinity. And indeed he is, though he's moving more towards mid lane as Grendel stops Vivid back.
Yeah, now I think the next players around the Herald is just deciding which lanes really want to be in certain positions for the next play, really. We see that the dual lane just leaving lane, seeing if they can sort anything out in terms of pressure around the mid lane, maybe. But no, it doesn't look like they managed to achieve much with that. So we're getting into a bit more of a calm part of the game now.
As the dust settles from those earlier moments of excitement, we're looking at about just over 1,000 gold lead for Rascal Jester, which is such a big turnaround from the last game. Maybe we are going to see the triple, the rule of three, and Rascal Jester claiming this game, but we're looking at the dive buddies of Elise and Kiana going for an invade. Hachimecha is here, but the wave has been pushed under Rascal Jester's tower. Ninja's here too, but that's a good supreme display of talent. And Hachimecha flashes but dies anyway because Arya is there and does so much damage. Vivid just avoids the Moonlight Vigil, but he's in so much damage. And there's still a route available from this Graviton. We'll see what's going on. Arya dashes across the wall. Vivid gets blown up. Despite the good hook, Art has got heal, but he gets a turnaround kill onto Grendel. He's playing this about as well as he can. He picks up one at least in response, but it is still a 2-for-1.
Art can't die. At the start of that play, I thought that maybe CGA were biting off a little bit more than they can chew, but they get two people in the Kiana ultimate, and that does tend to happen when you're around these more walled parts of the map. The Soraka ult isn't really enough to dissuade them from following on that team fight. The Jarvan does. Oh, actually, I'm trying to remember who fell.
Jarvan fell.
I think the Jarvan fell during
and the Nautilus fell.
And the Nautilus fell just in the back of it. But it was at the cost of Art picking up another kill in that bot lane towards the end of that play. It does end up, and I believe, a 2-for-1. It was a bit hectic around that, but it's really falling. There's a lot of gold falling to the hands of Art.
And Arya, however, is now at 3-0, has picked up all the kills for CGA. So, yes, Art has kills. Yes, he has gold, but so does this Kiana. And if they can pull that off again, maybe if you're taking more of these 2-for-1s, that still slides in the favor of CGA.
Yeah.
And the next time that happens, Arya, that Kiana is going to have a Duskblade to bring to the party.
Oh, and that's so much extra damage because it does give you that 21 lethality. It does renegate a heck of a lot of armor. And there are a good amount of tanks on the side of Rascal Jester, but with the supreme display of talent, you do get a lot of percent HP damage coming through as well. So actually, you're pretty decent at taking out tanks. So yeah, what we're looking for now in these fights is how much can Arya do with this lead. We'll see if there's a good kill here.
And again, we said that Ninja doesn't have a lot in the way of
silence field.
That was really good. I half thought he was going to get caught there by the supreme display of talent, but just edges out of that effect radius. Survives that, as I said. Got the Athenes and Holy Grail. That's wonderful for the healing, but that's there's a cocoon landing. I can't. Good hook as well. He's got the stopwatch. He's got a flag, but I think he's out of range for a drag and just gets deleted. Cataclysms as a party dunk.
Party dunk. It doesn't really achieve anything there. It's a good pick. Unfortunately, the ultimate by Aria doesn't end up connecting because actually Ninja had a very well positioned silence field there. Because obviously Kiana wants to shove people towards the wall, but couldn't do that. Had to sidestep and then be in a bad angle to cast that ultimate. So well played from Ninja to avoid that kill. Although, unfortunately, Hachimecha doesn't have the same safety afforded by him. Gets caught out by the pick CC that we were talking about in the draft. And, falls down for it.
He started so well, but has suffered a little bit in these later moments, dying twice now in the last few minutes. Cog, though, still pulling out some decent trades there. Has kind of shortened that CS gap that had been built up by now.
Yeah, it's kind of falling back towards 15 as opposed to 20, maybe down towards 10. We'll see what happens when these waves even out. But yeah, we're looking and seeing what these junglers are trying to do. Yoshi on the bottom side of the map, just maybe shielding, looking for a potential counter gank towards the bot lane. I think they need to be aware of the fact that the Soraka ultimate is now available again, and there's Athenes on top of that. So the next fight will be, you need to just look at the health bars and add an extra little chunk on because Soraka exists.
Indeed, and not just a little chunk. There's also the issue that Kiana will be doing a big chunk now, who is 4-0. This champion is going to do ridiculous amounts of damage if she ever pulls off a good combo. But we'll see how well she managed to pull that off. There's still a lot of damage off Rascal Jester. Yeah, they've kind of had a couple lapses in judgment, had a couple bad fights, bad picks go against them, but there is still a very strong Ashe with a big CS lead. There is still a Soraka who's got some items and has been largely uncontested. Say that Arya has so much damage to throw the wish, and that's not quite enough. But looking behind, Vivid's here, and that's actually Vivid is here for Soraka. I thought that Nautilus was coming to claim her life, but Cog is here with Hachimecha taking this Rift Herald. App here is going for a 1v2 though, but Grendel's here, Arya's here at half HP. But there is no Soraka here, no HP available. Hachimecha gets almost knocked out of his flag and drag. Arya claims another kill, and I can't tell you who got that Rift Herald. I have to look now. It was Hachimecha. Traded his life for that take.
And Arya just flexing the muscles on this Kiana here. Tries to go for the solo kill onto Ninja. Ninja playing some very close boundaries with the ult and the cleanse of the Ignite just making it out of that kill. But it doesn't save Hachimecha later into that Herald fight as well, which came after that play. I don't know which replay we're going to see, but hopefully we see either of them in a good quality there. It's Coco trading well into Snap in the top lane.
Yeah, it was a good dash away from the Haymaker, though, so not as much damage as it could have been. And one of these days, I'll realize that a Nautilus walking towards a tower isn't always going to be diving. I saw that coming from the side. I couldn't see any nameplates. I couldn't see any colors. I just assumed in my play-by-play haze that was going to be someone good dive. I was like, wait, no, that's actually on the side.
Yes, Initialize is confused. He hurt himself.
I did indeed. But despite being hurt in my confusion, Soraka was hurt, but did walk out of there. But I'm not sure how often she's going to be able to do that as this Kiana gets more and more fed. That's another serrated Dirk and another longsword picked up. On the other hand, Ashe has completed the Blade of the Ruin King, and that'll be up and available for any fights that are to come to pass.
Yeah, Ashe is pretty strong. First completed item. It's the Blade of the Ruin King. Gives you a little bit more lane sustain building towards those components. Lifesteal in it. As opposed to something like the Essence Reaver, we're probably going to see a Hurricane come in next. That typical item for Ashe really allows you to apply all those slows and all of your Q, Hunter's Focus, Hunter's something or other, the Ashe Q, the one which makes you do a flurry of arrows. It's really important. It does a lot of damage. Hunter's Focus, something like that, yes. But Ashe doing a lot of damage at this point in the game, as we said, has a lot of the kills on the team, a lot of the gold, and very much in a position to try and shut down the first person that dies.
Indeed, and of course, because we're on an ocean rift as well, there are all these additional bushes, all these additional honey fruits around, and Gango was just blast planted over into the darkness, and there is some pick going on here. It's 3v3 and teleports are being channeled. Grendel's gone for a flash play, and that's a good Moonlight Vigil, or Lunar Vigil rather, and there's a lot of damage coming down here. There's a stopwatch from Vivid, and Grendel just gets deleted. Oh, it's doing so much work. That's another enchanted arrow. that catches Gango, and now he's in trouble. Yeah, he's got a root, but he's going to get blown up by this Ash. But no, Cog in the background is blown up, Nap as well, and Gango flashes away on no HP.
And in the midst of that, Hachimecha pulls off the Civ HD flash to get away from Yoshi. That was some smooth moves there. A great fight once again for Rascal Jester. It's the 3-for-1 yet again. And now just this team is falling a little bit into, CGA falling into this massive deficit now. It's coming into a good 2k lead at 16 minutes. It's pretty large. And the Herald has been summoned bot lane as well.
Yeah, Kiana, though, once again picked up at least the killer there. She's 6-0.
So we see Aria walk up towards Ninja. The silence route comes down, and it's a good flash into kill. It's a really good kill from Aria, actually. And we see the flash smooth moves from Hachimecha going out of vision onto the pink ward, so Yoshi couldn't follow there. And at this point, actually, a great showstopper there. Goes into the wall to shorten the distance of it, dunks the jungler and the top laner there, it looks like, of CGA. And yeah, just another great.
And we saw kind of two different fights occurring there because Art was styling on the Ashe in the bottom half, taking out Grendel and forcing Gango. And that was some good stuff from Rascal Jester. We've had a couple plays go against them as of late. At least Arya managed to get that kill onto Ninja on the Soraka. Still has a lot of agency here, still has to be a threat, and is 7,500 gold, the most in the game. Certainly able to take this game on their back. We'll see how this goes as the mid lane push comes in from Rascal Jester.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, Arya is finding these combos onto isolated targets, but how does that happen when you're diving onto someone and you get Soraka, and then you get Nautilus hooked, you get arrowed, and you get knocked up? How do you manage to do this in the important objective? You're going to have to be really wily about your vision control, the paths you take towards fights, and which cooldowns you use when.
Yeah, that's an arrow dodged by a clean repel, as we have a very bug there. Green screened the whole screen there. I promise you that was over on the Japanese end, not ours. As many technical difficulties we
maybe it's the green light for go. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why the arrow came up.
Maybe that's what happened when the arrow leaves the map. It's going to be flying somewhere. We'll come back onto the rift at some point in the distant future. Vision control being fought over here in the Dragon Pit. We're looking at Ocean Drake spawning in about 15-14 seconds. So I'm assuming another contest, but there is
and apparently the green screen was only for us, so actually you have no idea what we're talking about. But anyway, so we are saying, for this next combat coming up, we see all the ultimates available from CGA. We see no arrow from the Ashe, but they have got the positioning to Rascal Jester. But when you're fighting around a lot of these walls, you do need to be very, very careful about that supreme display of talent.
And it is up and it is available, and she's invisible. Metro is in this bush and is visible as well, and Cog goes around and forces Arya away. We're looking at how much it's going to be a 4v5 until Arya managed to wait. That's a good catch. Deleted, but somehow, some way, that area effect on the Kiana was huge. But Cog's getting so many haymakers over that wall.
1v2.
Dude, he is. He's got the tackle. He's got the grit charged up to a massive amount. And Vivid slays Grendel somewhere in the back of this. And Rascal Jester now chasing CGA into the wrong side of the jungle. So much damage coming forward, and we're seeing a great flash. Art slays Gango, and he's now dead. Elise goes into the air, but she's coming back down to her death. Vivid picks that one up. Nap is trying to do as much damage, but it doesn't matter. He's got as a heal. And Soraka is there and throws enough heals, and the ambulance works. Some nice emergency care there at the end.
Oh, that was so close on so many areas of that fight there. Cog buying the time of two members of CGA in the backside of his jungle there, around the bush, just over the wall there. And Aria tries to get the godlike flank here, hops over the wall into the Dragon Pit a bit later into this replay, tries to get the multi-man ult, but there's a very good stopwatch which comes out to save the lives of some of the members here. Yeah, Art getting a fantastic stopwatch there, not getting burst out, and then all the cooldowns are down from Aria. Manages to flash away the showstopper over the wall from Cog, manages to move away the disruptive team members of CGA and allow the damage of Art to go, just shut down Vivid in that fight as well.
We're looking a little bit further here. That's a great flash. Look at that. And at this point, it's just game over. There's a lot of health bars available. Not enough tanking. At least go up in the comes down, gets deleted. Vivid picks that kill up, rightly so.
And it's Grendel, not Vivid. Completely flubbed on the names there. Oh, Arrow comes in. Oh, just misses on Sagango in the lane.
Indeed, it was a nice attempt. And actually, Art is now quietly, well, not even quietly, for Hurricane. So all those incredible slows that Ashe can provide will be coming out
actually
thick and fast.
Actually, how good must it feel for Hachimecha and Art to be playing this game and think, hey, we're beating just on. Even when you leave with graces, there's always that bit of a rivalry that is like, hey, I'm doing just fine over here. Art's out over here, not died yet. The deathless AD carry over here, even though he's got the target on his against this crazy assassin of Aria with 6-0 and 0 on the Kiana on the other side. So yeah, Art's got to be feeling pretty good.
And you were talking about how hard Aria was going to find it in these team fights to get an easy way to get one of those ultimates. And we saw in the first sort of true 5v5 Aria was in, where it wasn't kind of a messy teleport skirmish, that she just struggled to get a decent ultimate off in that. It was kind of a cool one, kind of went round the Cataclysm walls as well as the blue buff, but it wasn't enough, didn't really catch enough there.
Yeah.
And CGA just kind of ran over. Rather got run over.
I'm waiting for the Kiana Talia combo to be picked up by someone, actually. It's a really fun combo because the Kiana ult goes right across. It does work with the Jarvan, but then and the problem is it doesn't actually go around the inside walls of the Cataclysm. So if you trap someone there, they actually, it almost insulates them from that ability.
Yeah, Kiana has to be in there with them, but that's a little bit of a risk. Hachimecha is hanging over the... And Rascal Jester may be in control, but they don't necessarily have this game locked down yet. As I said, Aphelios will do damage, and that's a decent cocoon, that's a decent hook as well.
But it's on the set.
And he's got a Joram's Fist in enough levels. That doesn't really make all that much difference. Aria does steal away that Scuttle Crab, though, so no early Baron shenanigans. Easily pulled off by Rascal Jester.
Yeah, and Aria has a 50 CS lead as another arrow comes out. Does land this time, but it's a bit far away.
And that's a nice hook, but a lot of damage, but that's a decent Gravitum ult there from the Aphelios, who does get hooked now. Vivid under the tower. It's a decent... Aria's found his way into the backline. We said he... But somehow, some way, no one has died yet. Aria is stuck on a wall and finally gets shut down. And that's huge gold bounty for Set. It's a 1-for-0, but that's a big pickup.
Oh, and Aria was so close to getting the godlike flank there. Does hit a lot of people, but now he's dead. The third Kiana is dead, and now Rascal Jester have the healing to push through maybe 2 towers here.
Yeah, Gango couldn't get the backed a little bit too close to that tower. It means he's here on low health, and there's a lot of members who are eyeing him a little bit hungrily. Hachimecha has flash and flag and drag. Cog's walking forward with the knuckle down, and this mid lane turret is not long for the world. You feel that Haymaker nearly silenced the AD carry. Nap's going to try and come over the wall. That's a decent hook, though, and that's going to be close, but that's a lot of grit, and there's a Haymaker, but it doesn't matter. Gango's died. Gango's killed him, brother, and Rascal Jester does get a catch onto Art. So at least she's gone down. Arts finishes that one up, and we're looking at the mid lane turret. Does go down for a 1-for-1 trade.
We're going to have to stop messing up these names. Gango is perfectly fine. It's Cog that dies there. A bit of a messed up name there. But yeah, doesn't manage to quite pop the Haymaker. So we're going to go look at this first fight in the mid lane here. And this is where actually the hook lands onto Ninja. And this is where they think maybe we can get a good pick. But the arrow comes out as a pseudo disengage there. Hachimecha on the other side of this fight uses the one-man dunk hit. There's a lot of different skill shots landing from all across the board, but it's not connected onto one person. This showstopper saves possibly all the people on Rascal Jester here. It takes Aria right out of the fight, stops them from having this immediate burst damage, and even with that, Art still nearly goes down. It's a really extended fight after this point. Outer turret goes down, and then another set of fights goes in where eventually Cog is shut down himself.
Yes, and this game is still in the advantage of Rascal Jester, about 4k ahead. But as we said, Crest Gaming are not out of this. That's 2 items now for this Aphelios for Gango, who did manage to pick up a kill in that last fight.
Yep.
And it was a shutdown, which is great stuff. And Aria is still really strong. Looking for an edge of night by the looks of it here to try and stay alive and avoid the showstopper pulling her out of an ultimate.
And what I find really interesting is actually a Storm Razor onto Gango. It's not actually the Essence Reaver. There's a cooldown reduction coming in there for the ultimate and all of his Q abilities, and also the mana back on his auto attacks. But yeah, so we do see a Guardian Angel coming out of this Ash, which is going to make this next team fight really, really difficult for CGA. Because if you can't kill Art, how do you win the team fight?
But Aria has found his way into this new bush that spawns when the Ocean Rift is here.
Are they going to check it?
And they ought to think about it. No, he pops over the wall. The auto dragon. That's very frustrating. Thought he'd snuck in, but no, dragons are more keen than mortal men. Aria's here. Got to think about it. The silence field is down. That's a decent stream display of talent, and a lot of damage is done. Kiana is slain, though, by Set, and the dragon is taken by Rascal Jester. They're just one off soul, and Gango's goal gets pulled back by the face breaker and suplexed away. Takes a load of damage, and is shut down by Ninja with a starfall.
Oh, and Gango actually does a very decent job of right there, but Set is right on top of him, just a rugby tackle into the ground there, and finishes off Gango, who was the last hope of this. Aria was shut down really, really early into that fight. Really couldn't do anything about that. There was just so much damage coming in from incidental members of. It looks like it will lead to a back.
Indeed it will. Yoshi is alive, but is in the mid lane, and they can't think about contesting by the looks of it. There's pings down at that mid lane tower, but I don't think that's going to be a viable target. Set begins to push in the top lane, and this is a nice, clean Baron take for Rascal Jester after a great teamfight win.
Oh, so now we get to calm down a little bit for the first time in a while. We have actually seen 3 dragons picked up by Rascal Jester now. The Ocean Drake would be right on top of that Soraka healing, make things very difficult. And this is just a huge pie chart of Kiana there, because the Jarvanol actually ends up connecting the various parts of the wall that goes around all that terrain, but it just isn't enough. There's just so much damage in Art. Even with the GA, it's not even damaged in his first life.
Yes, that has been a very strong Ashe now, who's 6-0-10 at this moment, has 3 items completed, a BF sword and inventory, which I'm assuming will be for the Infinity Edge, for just that additional amount of damage.
Unless it's the Bloodthirst. Hey, you absolutely cannot touch me build.
Could see that too. I mean, it would pair up quite nicely with a Soraka, and there's enough damage there potentially already, so I could see a justification for that.
Art's already doing a lot. It's just whether he wants to end team fights quicker or stay alive longer if they do possibly find the avenue of attack to try and kill him there.
And we're seeing a pretty exponential gold growth rate. It was pretty even and suddenly sort of exploding in a pretty consistent way there. Rascal Jester now 7,000 gold ahead, and that's a big deal. They're on soul point for an Ocean Soul, which is one of those insanely strong souls alongside the Infernal.
Especially in this game as well, right? Because, you know, they are already a team with a decent front line. They're already a team with Soraka backing them. You cannot kill this team. They are going to survive through pretty much everything. I'm trying to think how they win this game. It's probably a massive Kiana flank, but I'm actually not sure she'll ever have the damage to kill off everyone in the team that they need to.
I mean, potentially Aphelios can do enough damage. Has picked up an Execution, is calling for a bit of healing reduction. Probably a little bit too late. There is one on Aatrox too. Edge of Night completed for Kiana. There are items here which maybe give them an edge in a team fight. Maybe, but it's so late.
But when you're dealing with a 4-1 strategy like this, you can't pick off the one because it's a set with a Stone Plate and a Sterex alongside the Black Cleaver. Just so much HP to play with. And the Soraka ult, if he even dares to go low. And, you know, then you've got the 4-man unit with the Disengage immediately there for instant CC from the Nautilus. You can just hook right towards you if you dive in.
Indeed, and that's looking like 2 towers falling, Inhibitor in mid lane being down, Inhibitor in bot lane being taken down, and CGA are just forced back. They're not forcing an engage, they're just letting this happen.
Yeah, it's a 9k gold lead. How do you actually fight this CGA? But you have to fight at some point, you know. This is a losing game for you now. To make sure that you at least try to fight when the game isn't completely over, right?
I wonder whether that might have been the chance, because a lot of that 9,000 gold, about 2,000 of it was picked up just then, so it's in pocket, it's not in items.
There is that, but the other problem is that they have the extra stats from the back, which is actually it is a significant amount of stats. But yeah, you have to think, well, maybe that was the time. Actually, all their cooldowns, they have, you know, but then the other problem is Kiana is really bad. Kiana is really bad about fighting around base because just the terrain isn't there to shunt people against walls, to get all of like your water stuns and the like.
Indeed, there's not enough elements for her to pick up, not enough walls for her to throw down her ultimate, and that means that for probably a number of these reasons, CGA choose not to engage, and it does lead to a 9k gold lead, as you said. It's a minute just under till the Ocean Drake comes up, and I feel that will be CGA's last chance to fight in this game, because if Ocean Soul is taken, it is well and truly over if it isn't already.
Yeah, and the problem is here that actually going into this last team fight, you have to imagine if it doesn't go the way of CGA, which is going to be so hard, then, you know, you have 2 items and components on Gango compared to the 4 items of Art. You don't have your Infinity. You look at top lane. This Aatrox has a Black Cleaver and components once more. He doesn't even have his Death Stance. He can't be that super disruptive top laner. So, you know, what are they looking for in these team fights? They probably have to look for a pick.
And they did get a hook there, but
there's no one even nearby. That's just a bit of a fishing line there, as opposed to, you know, I'm really surprised there isn't a Fisherman Thresh.
That's really true. I mean, there is Deep Sea Thresh, which...
Yeah, you know, there's Angler Jacks, you know, why not an Angler Thresh?
I could see it.
I'd buy that skin.
I
have like a crab pot as your lantern.
But maybe we need to get back onto game, because the Ocean Drake has spawned, and this is probably going to be the last fight of the game.
Nap's getting into position to flank here, but Aria's grouped up with his team, probably not where he wants to be.
And there's a lot of vision, and Nap is now walking into... He can't throw well. He's going to fall very swiftly. That's a good supreme display of talent, though. And Art is down to his GA. Yoshi is there, goes into the Zonyas. Arya jumps over the wall, can't get a kill. And there's a lot of damage. Cog gets the Elise, but there is a fair amount of damage coming from Gango. But that's a good dash through there from Hachimacha. And that's another kill there. Double for the set.
Oh, the TPing to end.
And this is going to be it. Yeah, the TP coming through. And that's the arrow. The back, and there's a redemption to stop it one more time. It means they're here through, and Arya is stuck in no man's land while Cog punches his way left, right, left to the depth of the Nexus. Arya being chased miles away, flashes, and that's an ace for the Soraka. GG Rascal Jester, 22 kills to 8, 31 minute in. It is 1 for 1 for 1 for 1 today.
Oh, good job in this game as well. Rascal Jester ending it out on 1 for 1, like you're saying. And we are done on this broadcast. Lexi, what did you feel about this last game that we're covering today? Yeah, he ended 6-0 and 15. No, it's the second one. We saw one from Axes earlier, where they lost against the mid-noct.
Yes, indeed. It was a game potentially worth forgetting if you want Ash succeed. This one, however, is to remember. Ash and Art actually having a fantastic game. There were a few fights when TPs came in the bot lane, and Art just positioned so well. He 1v2'd the Grendel and Gango one time when I was seeing that brilliant little TP coming in, and it was just good stuff. And got a lead, never let it go. Some great arrows, some great team fight positioning. And while Arya on this Kiana got off a really good lead, kept things competitive for a long time, the rest of his team just fell apart.
Yeah, and actually, I do want to give a shout out to Ninja, right? It is a hard call being put into an assassin matchup as a Soraka. This Soraka died only the one time that game, 4-11. And the amount of times we cast the all-ins by this Kiana? Probably about 3 or 4 times. One death was that one good pick by Arya, who was already at 4 kills at that point. It's a really hard job keeping yourself alive as Soraka, and Ninja did that very, very admirably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this shows also why a lot of banning out Soraka when they're going for burst comps. I think we did see we saw 2 or 3 Soraka bans throughout the day. One of which was the very first game of the day by Detonation. I believe actually their very first ban was that. The very first ban of LJL 2020 was the Soraka, and we see it end out the last game of the first day with a very impressive.
And more than that, I think Cog and Hachimecha had a significantly better game. There were some really good flanks, some really good flag and drags from Hachimecha. Found his way into the bot lane level 2.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Which was great stuff. Blew the flash from Gango. Made sure he was in the position to be carrying or getting lots of priority in that lane. We saw that wonderful flank in the mid lane where he came out of the bush and got the double knock up on Grendel and Gango. Grendel thought he got his Elise out of trouble. Nope. Hachimecha was there to cause more of it. Some really good stuff, and we saw those really good flanks from the set. He was flashing over walls and just refusing to die.
Set also just barreled people out of team fights at key points, 2 or 3 times that game. There was the massive fight in the mid lane which led to the 2 turrets going
Of course,
down, where he
yes.
just showstoppered Arya, just yeeted him away from Art at the end of that. It was just really cool to watch, particularly because at that point Arya had about 6 kills and was looking to carry that game.
Yeah, it prevented that detonation in a really good way. Like the fact that you could pull her out of her ultimate even was good.
It was just a really just amazing performance from Ninja, from Crest. Like both teams really did step up, and I want to definitely go back and say well done to Crest, Rascal, Sengoku, and Fukuoka for all of them, for them actually being in this 1-1-1-1-1 split. It's looking to make the LJL an incredibly competitive league so far.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron, and the iron is pretty sharp to like. Every team has shown strengths and weaknesses. That's been pretty obvious because it's been the 1-on-1 across everything. Very different from the first 4 games that we cast. Obviously, Detonation focused on me going 2-0 and impressing quite a bit there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see how these teams appear. So we'll be back on Tuesday, in case you guys didn't know. There's a bit of an irregular schedule.
I was going to go through that, but that's fine.
Whatever. But on Tuesday, we'll be seeing these teams, crossing over and starting to face some different teams, in the same kind of 4 against 4 bracket.
Yes, and I wanted to sort of talk a little bit about the fact that on a bit of a broader scale, on a meta scale, I'm quite happy to see games be a little faster than I was expecting. Outside of, at least on this cast, the slow finish from Sengoku Gaming in the game before this, games have actually been pretty good on their timekeeping. The LJL is notorious for being a little slow. And actually, things have felt like they've kept a decent pace, and there's been a sort of a tempo to the games that has been pretty good. And that means I'm excited to see where this goes. It means we're going to see hopefully a little bit more of this.
And just adding one little point in here, I'm very impressed by the comps that these teams have come into day one with. It shows that they have been innovating. They haven't sat still. We saw from DFM, they picked out like the Heimerdinger. We saw from V3, they had the Mid Nocturne and the Echo, both picks which I absolutely didn't expect. So yeah, I'm looking at this innovation. I think, hey, this could add a lot of flavor to this split.
It does seem like there is definitely a huge step up in comps. Like, rarely is there a repeat. I think the only repeat I really saw was Hachimecha on the J4.
Steel played 2 games of J4 as well, but I think that's just...
But I mean, we've also came in on our podcast. We're going to do the final plug here. I don't know. I've actually forgotten how many it was. I think we're on 8 or 9.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, you guys referenced it in the cast, so I'm adding those as well.
I see, that's fair.
So I think we're on 8 or 9, which I think is on average 2 per game, which, I mean, I think is fine. But yeah, no, the comps have been very diverse. I mean, we've seen Soroka mid, set top, but that's completely opposite for what we saw in the first games with Detonation and V3 in the first game. So like, the only thing that seems to be consistent is Aphelios, who has now sadly experienced his first loss in the LJL.
Oh yeah, but what a loss it was actually. That was a heck of a really much.
It has made,
especially at that level 2 gank get him so far behind.
Oh, that yes, I mean, but that was an impressive Nautilus hook into the stun. Into then the J4 coming over and then flashing back over. It was as a support. I love it when my jungler comes in and works well with it. And then you've just got Art just auto attacking because it's an AD carry at level 2. What do you have at that point? But with that in mind, it's been an amazing 4 games, and thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Apologies for the technical difficulties that happened at the very beginning, but I promise you, that in theory should no longer happen, and we're going to have a little nice thing happening. We're going to have music. I know, right? Crazy music during breaks. Oh, amazing. But thank you so much for joining us. I have been Mars1. Of course, I have been joined by my color commentator and my play-by-play caster of Initialize Nymera. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you Tuesday around... We're not quite sure. I believe 12 p.m. GMT, maybe slightly earlier. Follow us on social media, but we'll be back very soon. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back.
Gianni.